Hi there, my name is Steve Gerhardt, and as always, this is the Unagi Observer. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching the video, as always. And this week, we're going to do a Cyberpunk review, anime review. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about a little something that's been going on since pandemic called OnCon. Yes, it's an online convention, and for those of you who have not attended OnCon, it is, as I just said, an online convention. We started this during pandemic when all the in-person conventions started closing down and, we had nowhere to go to. So we decided to do these things. Actually, Brent decided to create an online convention that was basically a bunch of panels that people could just tune into on YouTube and watch and have in the chat section, Q&A and that kind of thing going on. And as you can tell, we're still doing it, and because it's people like it. And so OnCon 11 is going to be this next Saturday, August 31st. The first panel is going to start at about 11. We'll probably start, get online a little bit earlier than that to say hello to everybody and kick everything off. But yeah, it starts at 11, and it is a series of panels from a various bunch of knowledgeable people like the Otaku Brain Trust. Kira, also known as Ginger Gaiden, she's going to do a thing about Hokkaido. Her videos are amazing. I'm doing one. Brent, of course, is doing one. He's doing a really interesting one. You guys need to stick around for that one. Just a whole collection of people who are really interested and have interesting topics. So, and the best part about OnCon, it's free. It's free. Like, you can literally just turn on your computer, go to YouTube, go to Anime Archaeology. Oh, by the way, I'll have the link down below so you can, figure out where everything is. And just click in, and there you go, and you can just start watching. Like I said, it starts at 11. Each panel ends with a Q&A, and then we go into the next panel. And it's a lot of fun. I think it's a lot of fun. So you can come in. Now, if you happen to have a YouTube login, which would be even cooler, because if you have that, then that means that you can be part of the chat. So we have a running chat that goes on, so you can talk to other people, you can ask us questions at the Q&A, or maybe even prep us with questions and say, hey, do you think you can answer this, or have some ideas. Whatever it is, we'll have that little function right there. So please join us on August 31st at around 11 p.m. And I believe that's the Otaku Brain Trust is going to start us off. And yeah, it's free. Show up, have fun, learn some things. So that's going to be OnCon 11. Okay, so let's get on to the meat of today's video. And today's video is part of my Cyberpunk series of reviews. And I think this is number 4. So we're almost to the end of the Cyberpunk reviews, which means that we're going to go into a watch party at some point before the end of the year. We're going to pick a Cyberpunk thing to watch. It could be a live action movie, it could be an anime, who knows, we'll see. But we're at number 4, and the Cyberpunk anime that I want to review for you guys today is called Pluto. So here's the interesting thing about Pluto, anime on Netflix, and it was originally not on my list of possible things to review as Cyberpunk. I had a list of like books, comics, live action movies, anime, of course, and manga, to kind of figure out what I wanted to review and just a list of choices to have. And Pluto was not on it at all. So when Brent and I went to Gen Con, and we had a great time, and we would come back from the day kind of tired, and we just kind of want to just relax a little bit at the Airbnb, we'd have a little bit of dinner, maybe some snacks, and watch anime. And one of the anime that we decided to watch was, of course, Pluto. And much to my surprise, I was like, this is totally Cyberpunk. This is totally Cyberpunk. How did I not know this? So I had seen the trailer back in 2023. It looked really interesting. I'm always been a fan of Osamu Tezuka, who isn't. And one, of course, of his characters is Astroboy. And so when we saw the trailer for this, we assumed that this was a sort of Astroboy kind of story going on. So Astroboy to me is really not, as a thing, as a franchise, is not really Cyberpunk. Is definitely robot and science fiction, yada yada, but it's not really Cyberpunk to me. Not that I don't enjoy it, I do. But so I was really surprised that this turned out to be really cyberpunkish. So anyway, so there you go. So much to my pleasure, I was able to. We watched the majority of the episodes while we were at Gen Con. I wrapped up the last 2 episodes after we got back, and we can just tell you very pleased with the anime. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of it real quick. So I'm going to go onto the interwebs here and just read off a few things for you guys, just some information. Like most anime, this comes off of a manga. The manga is, of course, called Pluto, and it's based on an actual Osamu Tezuka storyline from Astroboy, and it's the greatest robot on Earth story arc. So that's a famous story arc, and this Pluto is more or less based on that. Excuse me. So, but they take it in a whole new direction, obviously, cyberpunk direction. So it had a really good run, like 6-year run in Big Comic Original, September 2003 to April 2009. So that's a good run. It's the volumes. There's 8 volumes in total. And I'm kind of curious about the manga. I think I want to check out the manga since I enjoy the anime. So there's the story. There's some background. It was released on Netflix, and you can still find it on Netflix, obviously. But it was released on October 26, 2023. Each episode is kind of long. They're between 55 and 70 minutes long. There are 8 episodes, so you can definitely binge watch this in the weekend if you want, or you can do what we did and we watch like 2 episodes at a time and get through it that way. Whichever way you want to do it. But there you go. So there's the idea. Now, the story behind this is that, again, Astroboy is in this story, but he is not at the forefront. Excuse me. He is not the main character. Geitz is the main character for the majority of the anime. So he is a detective, and I don't think this is a spoiler because you learn this fairly quickly. He is a robot. As a matter of fact, he is one of the 7 most advanced and powerful robots on the face of the earth. So, and his gig, what he does is that he helps Interpol solve crimes, and that's what he does. So he's an investigator, and he goes around the world and he investigates crimes and stuff. He was also part of the army, kind of the UN army that went in the 39th Central Asia War to defeat the Persian Empire. The Persian Empire in this war, what started the war was that there was a rumor that the Persian Empire was creating war robots to take over the world, basically. And so, of course, everybody wanted to stop that. So this awful, awful war, not that any war is really good, but this war happened to be really awful, happened. And apparently it's one of the first wars where robots were at the forefront. And so basically it was mostly robot fighting robots, which is kind of an interesting quandary there. So, by the way, the law of robotics are in full effect here. And so Geitz comes out of this backstory. He's one of the guys who fought in that war. And what happened is that there was a peacekeeping group that did an investigation of Persia, and to see if there actually was truth to the rumor. And so in addition to these robots, 7 powerful robots that were involved in that war and this peacekeeping force, people start getting murdered. So the humans being murdered, and then we discover that one of the 7 robots is destroyed. And we come to find out, Geitz comes to the conclusion and says, oh, it's one guy killing both robots and human beings, and they have this connection to this war and to this particular subject. Was Persia actually making robots of mass destruction, basically? So Geitz is he's in this. So he leads us in the story. He's the lead investigator, and this goes over time. So he's investigating these murders, which they all have a connection, which is these horns. So the killer sets it up as a kind of like his memento, where he just kind of sets up a horn on the body. And so when you look at the Pluto title on the anime in the manga, the U is like horns. So there you go. So basically the story is Geitz is doing this wonderful noir, cyberpunk noir mystery of who's killing these people and these robots. And he's going through this, and he's also, at the same time as he's doing this, he's trying to warn the other 6 powerful robots that they are being targeted by whoever this is, who's murdering these people and these robots. As you go through the story, you find more, world building things, which is basically that the robots are starting to, even the lower tier robots, the service robots, the police robots and stuff, are creating individualities for themselves. So they actually become sentient, their own being, their own agency, and they're starting to focus in on certain emotions. Like some of them will pick up on a particular emotion and run with it, and then as they're doing that, other emotions kind of come in and they kind of try to figure that out. So it's kind of very interesting that when we talk about murder and you say, well, it's a robot, it's just whatever. Well, no, we come to understand that when a robot gets destroyed by somebody, that's actually a murder. That's killing somebody, because people recognize that they are becoming individuals and that they are sentient on their own. Which also leads to a group that is part of the plot here, which, of course, hates robots. So they want more of a mankind supremacy, and that robots should not be allowed to be this advanced, and that they need to be taken down a peg or two and be a servant class, basically. So you have that involved. So that is kind of the nutshell of the story. I don't want to give too much away because there's a lot going on here. I could probably go on for the next 3 hours and talk about it. So let's talk about some interesting concepts within this anime that makes it cyberpunk. If you are a fan of Blade Runner, then the issue of, are replicants human, is basically a huge question that is asked and that people still talk about to this day. So that idea that these are robots that are becoming more and more individualized, being more and more sentient, and that they're on their own hook, developing ideas of what emotions are, and that they're trying to mimic being humans. Does that make them human-like? But at the end of it, we decide that, well, they may not be human, but they're living beings. We decide that they're living beings, and that's something that you have in Blade Runner, which is, are replicants, even if they're not human, do they deserve to be their own people, to have their own agency? And that's another question that comes through here. So another part that makes this wonderfully cyberpunk is, of course, the noir part of it, the mystery, the murder mystery noir part of this. Again, you have Blade Runner, which a lot of people tout as one of the best cyberpunk movies ever made. This investigation, and as this investigation goes on and on and on, the lead investigator starts finding out things about himself and things about what's going on in the world around him, conspiracies, so forth and such. In Pluto, it's the same thing. Geitz is going through this. He's starting to discover things about himself that he might not like, and there are certain gaps in his memory that he discovers. And one of the things that Geitz discovers and is constantly referring to is this one particular robot that somehow broke the laws of robotics and murdered a person because he wanted to. No reason, just wanted to. And he's kept in this underground bunker, like basically stapled to a wall. And Geitz comes down and refers to him like as if he's like the robotic Hannibal Lecter. He's just trying to get some ideas and understanding, because this is the first robot that really developed a strong human emotion and acted on it, although in a most evil fashion. And this robot understands what he's doing, so it's not like he's insane. It's not like he's an insane robot. He's just like, oh no, I did evil. I'm fully aware of what's going on here. So Geitz is trying to figure this out. He's trying to figure out the gaps in his memory, what all these things mean, who is killing these people, and why. And we uncover this conspiracy, and that conspiracies are part of Cyberpunk. And they usually have to deal with either some type of big corporation trying to hide something, or a government acting with a corporation to hide something, which is what's going on here in Pluto. And he says, you realize that the murder investigation isn't just a murder investigation, it's something huge, right? So that's another Cyberpunk. The other, of course, elements of Cyberpunk here are, of course, that we're living in kind of a hybrid world where, we're trying to do better. There is squalor in the world for no good reason, but especially when you have all these advanced robotics. Why is there poverty? Why are these things happening? And it delves into these 7 robots trying to be human and trying to work in a world that they actually actively want to make better, and which is unusual for robots in general, right? So very, 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 very cyberpunkish. And you have very stylized things going on. This is Osamu Tezuka, so you're going to see very stylized equipment, robotics. Everything's lovingly detailed. It's just this wonderful. It's just wonderful to watch. So let's get into actually kind of the. It's anime, so. Let's talk about the fact that it's anime. The animation itself has, of course, as we now know, we're incorporating more and more CGI into the animation. It works very, very well in the story. It fits. It's finally doing what I would like it to do. When CGI first came into animation, I was not a fan of it, but I knew that it would eventually get better. This is an example of it getting better. So it is a pleasure to watch. It is pleasing to the eye. It's very, very interesting. You also get character designs that are straight up Osamu Tezuka, right? Like you're just like, okay, they're copying Tezuka, and that's fine because they're doing that on purpose because they want to pay homage to him. So you have character designs based on that. So really big eyes and easily readily identifiable characteristics. And things of that nature. And what you also see during the anime is characters from Osamu Tezuka's work. So there's a reference to Black Jack in there. There's a lot of little, just little cameos and little Easter eggs to that effect. You do get the kindly uncle, the uncle of Astroboy in there, and you do get Dr. Tenma shows up in the second half of the series. Ooh, that when he shows up, you just know everything's not right. Because if you know the story of Astroboy, Dr. Tenma is the one who created Astroboy. And so you have a lot of great animation, great character designs, great fight choreography. And also, some of the fight is you don't actually see, but it's still exciting because you don't know what's going on until the end of it. Each episode has a kind of its own little story that's happening inside the overall story arc. And it can be poignant at times, and there are times where you're just like, oh, okay, that's fun, and other times you're just like, oh, that's so sad. So it's going to be a range of emotions when you watch this, and so and it plays you like a fiddle in that way. So really good storytelling here. I did not watch the Japanese dub with subtitles. I watched the English dub. They spared no expense on the English dub. I'm going to tell you that right now. When you look at the IMDb list and you look at all the voice actors, you're going to be like, wow, they really they went deep. They went deep in getting good English voice actors. One of the things that I will say to you, if you are a fan of Pros D, he's in it. I wanted to see if you can figure out which character he's doing, because at first I didn't pick it up, but then Brent said, doesn't that sound like Pros D? I'm like, oh yeah, it does. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, it is. And if you're a Genshin Impact player like I am, you're going to recognize some voices. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But the one I want to bring up, which I thought was kind of funny, and we just went, what? Really? Richard Epcar. Now, Richard Epcar, if you don't know, he is the English voice actor for Bato in Ghost in the Shell. The character design for Richard Epcar's character in Pluto, which is the character's name is Hercules, is Bato. So they just said, okay, we're just going to bring Bato into Pluto, and we're just going to have Richard Epcar do the voice. It's Bato. It's hilarious, but it works. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. It's just really, really, really fun. All right, so now we're at the point where I say to you, or I ask you the question, should you watch this anime? In terms of it being surprisingly cyberpunk, if you're really interested in seeing a really good cyberpunk story that will remind you of Blade Runner, please watch Pluto. It is quite good. If you want to just watch an anime with a good story plot, definitely watch Pluto. You're going to enjoy it. If you just like sci-fi in general, you're probably going to enjoy this. So I have an overwhelming good feelings about Pluto. It's very well done. Like I said, the animation is really good. I watched the English dub. All the actors did chef's kiss. So yeah, I think you should put this on your watch list. I think you should really take the time to watch this. Again, it's 8 episodes long. Each episode is about an hour, give or take. There are 8 episodes. It is on Netflix, so if you have Netflix or access to Netflix, you can watch it there. And like I said, it's also based on the manga, which I have not read, which I think I will probably buy the 8 volumes and read it. So there you go. Yes, Pluto. Watch it. It's good. All right, so in case you couldn't tell, I enjoyed Pluto a lot, and I think you should watch it. So I hope you do. If you do, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. Keep it clean, don't troll. Thank you very much. And also, a gentle reminder, on Con 11, August 31st, we're going to start at 11 p.m., maybe a few minutes before to kick things off, but definitely 11 p.m. That's when the Otaku Brain Trust is going to start with their panel. And I hope you come by and watch. It is free. If you have a YouTube login, you'll be able to get in on the chat and ask us questions at the Q&A. And yeah, it's a good time. It's a fun, free online convention that you can just show up at and watch what you want. So I hope to see you guys there. And stay well, stay good, because I love you guys. And as always, watch more anime.